What's going on, y'all? It's Terrence the Therapist. Thank you guys for tapping in. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. First of all, before we get started, yes, I am a Lakers fan. That's my team, ride or die. Now, I know we didn't have a good season last year because we didn't make it to the playoffs and but we're about to come back better than ever. Now that's out the way, let's get to it. Now, this clip of Jay-Z and Kevin Hart having a conversation about how it is going back home on the holidays and their families asking them for things, primarily just money. If you guys know who Jay-Z is, I don't know what to tell you, but what we know about Jay-Z is very wealthy. So his family during the holidays, he had explained that during that time, there are people that ask him, cousins and stuff, hey, I'll take this money and I'll flip it and I'll do this, that, and the third. First of all, knowing that he is a businessman, so you know it doesn't work like that, but also saying no to his family members. And it brought me to the conversation of setting boundaries. And this video did a phenomenal job of how to set boundaries, especially with family members. So in this video, we're going to break down 4 components about boundaries. The first thing is, what is a boundary? What is a boundary? A boundary is a line that determines a specific area, right? So when we talk about drawing the line, right? You ever heard the phrase of, I'm drawing the line, I'm drawing the boundary? So this is a boundary, it's a line that we draw to differentiate a certain area from another area. Now, when we talk about this term area in the world of mental health and mental wellness, this area really specifically is your peace. Peace is part of the area in which you try to protect with the boundary. Which leads into the second thing. Why is it healthy to set a boundary? Well, let's talk about what happens when you don't set a boundary. When you don't set a boundary, you allow other people into your area, into your peace. And many times, people aren't there to protect your peace. Many times they're there to intentionally or unintentionally disrupt your peace. They may be thinking they're doing good by you, but they may be doing more harm than doing good or doing well. Now, when we do set healthy boundaries, what we do is we protect our peace. We protect that area which harnesses our peace. Now, the third thing, who's responsible for setting these boundaries? You're responsible for setting these boundaries. You're the person that has to create the boundary, but you also have to enforce the boundary as well too. People aren't automatically going to respect your boundary. Many times people may impose their own needs and cross your boundaries and not knowing that you need to protect your own peace with certain things. I'll use this as an example. If you're typically out drinking with friends and whatnot, say for example, you're out on the weekend and you're drinking, right? But say for example, you're on like a detox or a cleanse or you're not drinking during that time. Many of your friends may feel uncomfortable because you're not drinking with them, but you set a boundary for yourself, whether if it's trying to be healthy, whether if it's like you just need to take a break, you need some clarity. For whatever reason it is, you may not be drinking just for that weekend. So obviously you may look kind of awkward. You may look like you're not with the crowd. And then what are the questions people usually ask you? Are you sure? Do you want me to buy you a drink? Are you good? Da, da, da. But ultimately you're setting a boundary for yourself like, hey, I'm not drinking right now. And many times, even with this example, it may be like the 1, 2, 3 weeks or maybe a couple months you're not drinking and maybe afterwards you might start doing it. But boundaries, a lot of times, don't have a certain time duration. This is maybe something that you want to create just as a lifestyle. This is something that you just want to do ongoing to protect your peace. Whether if it's, I'm not going to tolerate people disrespecting me can be a boundary. I'm not going to tolerate people abusing me is another boundary. I'm not gonna allow anybody to compromise my safety. I may not tolerate a certain pay a job is giving me. I may know my self-worth, so I'm setting boundaries. If anything that disrupts my self-worth, then that's a violation of my boundaries. These are examples of boundaries that may be a little bit longer and may be a little bit more substantial because you're more than likely not going to say, hey, I'm going to tolerate this just for this amount of time, these 1 or 2 weeks, a couple months, and after that, I'll get back to it. No, you're trying to sustain and protect your peace as an ongoing thing as part of your lifestyle. So again, people aren't always going to respect your peace, but it's your responsibility to set those boundaries. Now, the fourth thing is how to set boundaries. As the second thing, you have to figure out what you can tolerate and what you're not going to tolerate, right? What's on your own moral compass? What are your beliefs? What are things that you feel like are worth protecting? And maybe some things that are a little bit more fluid and maybe some more flexibility around your lifestyle. And just because one person sets a boundary on something doesn't necessarily mean that same boundary will work for you. It may be a great idea, but your why is really what's going to drive what you're going to tolerate and what you're not going to tolerate. Because some things other people may be able to tolerate, and there may be some things that you can't tolerate, and vice versa. The most powerful thing you can do when you're talking about setting boundaries is learn this 2-letter word. It's called no. When you use the word no, that is the driving engine and the fuel to your boundaries, is saying no. Now, again, people may not like it, but it's not about them. It's about you and what your boundaries are and what you're willing to tolerate and not tolerate. So saying no has power. Saying no has so much power. So much power sometimes we don't realize. Now, again, people may push and push and push, but you have to keep saying no and no and no. That goes back to whose responsibility is it to set the boundary? It's your responsibility to set the boundary. So saying no is the most powerful thing you can do. Now, just to summarize, the first thing is, what is a boundary? A boundary is a line that separates or protects a certain area. 2, why is it healthy to set boundaries? Because you want to protect that area, which is your own peace. 3, who's responsible for setting these boundaries? You are responsible for setting these boundaries. 4th, how to set boundaries. The most powerful thing you can do to set a boundary is use the word no. Thank you guys again for tapping in. My name is Terrence, therapist. Again, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And let me know in the comments what type of boundaries or what are things that you tolerate or don't tolerate. And what are some things maybe you set boundaries around, or maybe some things that you are still working on setting boundaries around. Again, thank you guys for tapping in. I'll see y'all in the next video.